Welcome to Angelo's Tennis, and this is a match that someone sent to me, and we're gonna take a look here. It's say about these guys are around 7 UTR, 4.0, approaching 4.5. We're into the first point here. Let's get past this. So first thing I want to say before I get into this, I can do this for you as well. Right now I'm offering it for free as long as I can post it to YouTube anonymously. And these guys would do well when it comes to just overall improvement. I want to say this first. You can definitely tell that this is not the case. Really, we're going to be focusing on the guy here with the backwards hat. He said he'd been playing for four and a half years. Looks like he's in his 30s or somewhere between 20, 25, and 40, and been playing for 4 years. The thing that they haven't done, and this is really no fault to them, but the thing they probably haven't done is played matches consistently against different players, a lot of different players, particularly players that are better than them. And this is one of the challenges. This makes it so difficult to get better outside of taking lessons, because we're talking about somewhere around maybe 50 matches, 40, 50, 60 matches in a year. Let's say the guy is a 7 UTR. Guys that are 10 UTR is going to be really difficult to get around those guys. We're talking about college players, younger kids who aren't going to play you, just et cetera, et cetera. It's difficult to get around those players consistently. And when it comes to looking at this, as far as becoming like those players, you just can't do it unless they're playing against you. So there's that. But from a tennis standpoint, let's take a look at this here. So as I said, this guy here in the backwards hat, very impressive actually. Let's back this up here. For not taking any lessons, or I'm sorry, not playing, only playing 4 years, and he said not taking any lessons, trained himself. So serve right off the bat, the serve is solid. Like you might have missed the first point, but he hit down the tee. Just the way he's serving now, hitting those spots, the tee, the body serve, the out wide. You can see him there with the out wide. He just pretty much used all three in the first couple points. So if he can do that consistently and confidently, that's going to work against everyone. And I mean that, everyone. So let's go back here and see what he does. He does a lot of good things here in the beginning. Then the guy in the gray shirt here is gonna finally get one back, and he gets a shorter ball, and he plays to this target here, which I'll put my targets up here in the corner, and he plays this side target, absolute perfect execution, and then gets into a little bit of a tough situation there. Can't really criticize that. But that's the one thing there too to mention. This is what you want to do. And look, if this guy here gets that ball back and it doesn't work out, there's not really much you can do about that. He's not going to do that every time. So you see the guy in the hat gets a sitter. He gets a sitter here and just plays to the side target there. Easy winner. There's a body serve. It's going to get draws the air. The other guy here does the same thing. Gets that red zone ball off the return. Well, it's actually it was a little bit deeper, but still in the middle. Plays to the side target. And I will say this about the guy with the backwards hat, his backhand. We're talking about his forehand, backhand. I'll post this in the link in the description. They're another really good. This guy here in the white hat, both these guys really good at taking advantage of the ball in the red zone, and plays to the corner there for a winner. I was saying about the backhand. I'll put it down in the description of my video on the backhand. If he's gonna do anything for that backhand, I would say learn to play more with his offhand, with his right hand, and you'll see in that video how I do it. Again, playing for 4 years, I think just in general playing more backhands, especially with the right hand emphasis, playing right-handed by itself, playing off the wall right-handed, etc. All the things I mentioned in that video will probably benefit him. He gets another middle ball and goes deep towards the baseline, makes it. Wouldn't expect him to do that very often, but nonetheless, can't criticize it when it's working. Here we have that backhand. You could say, I just reiterate the things that I mentioned with the backhand that will help from a foundational standpoint, but it's possible here on this return, when these balls are coming heavier and harder on the serve, and as I said, if he starts playing higher level players, this is going to he's going to have to shorten this forward swing up. And you can see how he pulls up really hard, like as if he's trying to topspin the ball. Maybe that's why it hit the net. He's going to have to play more directly and stop, probably, I don't really know how else to say it, stop the forward swing, really drive through the ball, and not focus so much on the upward swing on that backhand. As the balls are getting, especially on the return, it's more of a block. Now this guy here, his opponent, has a tendency to moonball in certain situations, especially later in the match. Backwards hat does a nice job. I wouldn't go for that side target there. I mean, he could go for the winner there. If you watch my channel, I wouldn't say that you can't do that. I would just not make it so much as a put away. It's just top spin there to make him move. Because even if he gets that, it's going to set him up for the next ball. And again, as he goes up in the UTR rankings, etc., those guys are going to get that ball no matter how he hits it. So it's more of a rally ball there. Same thing there. He's going to do something like that. But again, take the pace off, more or less just taking the pace off of it and giving the ball back to him. If you do want to do something with that ball, I would hit one of these side targets to get into more of this situation where you have control over the court with the cross court. So that ball, maybe that forehand, he takes it here and then he recovers to this side, depending on whatever side he wants to play, prefers to play to. Now this guy here, which I'll talk about this in the future. Forward tap, which is called him forward tap guy, does a little slice, tries to go for that slice cross court. That's a pretty good play there, but also can hit the drop shot. You can hit the drop shot here. You can hit the drop shot here, especially here, which these guys aren't doing that much, or aren't doing that much of. Using that front of the court. Let's go back here to this backhand return again. Can't see it there, so as I was referring to earlier, you can see here he's out of position and he just spins it to the middle of the court. That's what I meant by earlier, just spinning it to one of these sides. Just because the other thing is, just because you're in position, even you're so far back in the court, etc. But just because you're in strong position, it doesn't mean you're going to go for a hard winner just because you're in position. So it seems like the backwards hat guy here, when he gets in position, he likes to go for the attack. But it really depends on where you are in the court. If you're really far back in the court, maybe integrate that, just moving the player to a certain side. There he gets the middle ball. He's in a good position and attacks to the corner. This guy's really good. This guy backwards hat, both these guys, but backwards hat, he's really good at this. There he is again. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, other than I'll say, even though this might mess him up, it doesn't need to be hit that hard. But sometimes that messes people up. They just have to just go for it. There you can see again that return. Let's see. Here's that return again, how he pulls up, really pulls up on it, instead of extending the racket out towards his target, which is going to be deep there. It's going to be more like a punch. And then forwards hat hits a nice little drop shot there. Look at that drop shot. I mean, it's just better than a lot of the pros. Really short. There again, he gets that short ball, but he's moving back. He gets that middle ball, but he's moving backwards. And he's really trying to play it aggressive. It's just a looper. It's just a looper top spinny to this side to make him move. Even if you wanted to hit that aggressive, you could practice this. Just practice hitting these targets with the forehand back and forth when you get in position. Watch Nadal. Nadal does that really well. And that's just you and the target at that point. Same thing, just a matter of awareness of where the ball is and really trying to play the target at that point. See, I would consider that a difficult ball, even though it's sitting. It's a difficult ball. It's a little bit low for him. Just really focusing on making that to the target as opposed to hitting it aggressively. That's something he's going to have to work out. But again, a lot of these things can be worked out over time. And I really think that has a lot to do with him, more likely than not playing enough players, not playing matches enough. Because all the guys that are higher than a 7 UTR that look like this backwards hat guy, all of them are playing two matches a week for years. Or you'd say 50 matches a week. 50 matches a year against these better players for years. And these guys are no different. They just don't do it for whatever reason. They're not professional. They're not. They have other. They have other things going on. Look at this kid over here. Old school, traditional. Putting him back there. No other kids there. Too small for the big court. Practicing his forehands and backhands. Think like he's a king. Really nice pass there. A lot of positive things with these guys, for sure. You see this forehand pass? Like, there's the target. Perfect execution. No one in the world's getting that. Tough ball here. This guy, the other things, I'm going to mention some other things that you can do as well that these guys probably aren't doing. They're probably match players. But if you really want to get better at your baseline game, you might set this up where you don't play these matches the way you're used to and just play it one way. So one way meaning maybe you draw a line in your mind. You can see my court up here. And just play everything behind this line and see what happens. That'll help help form your technique in certain ways. And especially in the backhand, that'll help with a lot of things I talked about, where you're just going to focus on challenging yourself to hit just behind this line. Or different things you can come up with like that. And then the other players should do the same thing. The rallies are going to be long. You're going to be forced to increase your stamina. If you can find someone to do that with, you'll start to look more like an 8 or 9 UTR, a 4.5 player. The traditional higher level 4.5 players look like if you do that. Back to playing matches. You might even hear he might even add a little slice, a forehand slice there. When he gets out of position like that, when he gets a tougher ball, he can use a forehand slice. Might be more difficult for him to learn. He's going to have to learn to alternate between the forehand, the topspin forehand, and the slice. That's something that can be practiced as well. Just playing rallies, playing matches where you're constantly alternating to get used to that. And these are some things that are outside of winning. Some of the things I mentioned, we're not talking about winning. This is where this guy, back to the match play, this guy starts, the backwards hat does start to lose his form. Where he gets an easier ball here, and he starts hitting them into the net. But same thing, it comes back to just have to ignore his opponent and focus on hitting these two targets here that he likes to hit. And you'll see later, he gets it going, but then he'll go deep too early when there's really nothing there. Something like that. So he's just working it side to side until he gets an error or an opening. And then that serve, just keep working that serve because he's got it. He's got all the spots. It's good enough. Pretty good defense there. Same thing when you're talking about practicing defense. Just You might even just hit the balls on purpose in a defensive way and let your opponent work you side to side, because that's what's going to happen when you play higher level players. They're going to force you to play defense and learn those patterns. So there's things you can set up if you don't have someone, if you don't have those, you're not in a position where you can play matches against those players. Just a good shot there by forward's hat. Middle ball puts it in the corner. Some more technical stuff. You know, if this guy wanted to as well, from a practice standpoint, he could practice hitting on the run, because you can see nothing wrong with this. Playing defense right there. Not really getting into the best spot, but nonetheless stays in the rally. But this could be a specialty shot for him on the run forehand right here. He could, on the run, if he got good at that, hit that down the line for a winner. And that's something that can be isolated, you know, just practicing hitting balls on the run in a more aggressive manner to a target. The other thing with the serve, like this guy here, backwards hat has, if he's winning, especially if he's holding serve, he could do more on the return. He could get closer, like right here. He could get closer and practice. This may be something you want to practice anyway. Get closer to the baseline and just practice these short forehands and backhands to targets and to deeper spots in the court, to really try to drive the ball through the court. And that's also going to help him get away from this top spinny stuff. It's a completely different shot. It's going to be almost a completely different shot than his baseline game. And that's something that he could practice as well. It could be underspin. It could just be a block to start the point. You can see him doing it there. He's just not close enough to the ball to really have any penetration. I mean, he could get, I'm guessing that he could get better at this if he got closer to the baseline and really tried to drive through the court. And he could handle the serve. He's not going to throw him off. He could get better at that. Nice serve there by forward's hat. Let's go back here. Here, maybe trying to do too much. Anytime a player makes you move like that, it's okay to just kind of dink the ball back in the court. Because he was there, so I guess he probably thought he could do something more with his hand there. But really just trying to play to the target there. Play to a target. Especially when you're on the defense of any sort. Play to a target, set the point back up. And that's even something on the return that you can do a lot of work with too. You're just returning the ball to a target to set the point up, especially when you're on defense, particularly when you're on defense or neutral. got a little impatient there. Kind of a slow ball, short. He could definitely take advantage of it though. But again, I would go more spin and just spin it off the court here. To really go for the corner there, you know, this guy, if that goes in, he's probably going to get it. And even if he doesn't get it, again, these other players, there's other players that will get that. And it's not going to really have the effect of being a winner that looks like he's going for. Backwards hat he kind of reminds me of myself. I think he's got an aggressive mind or aggressive personality, or assertive, or however you would say it. Now the serve, he has the ability to hit. You'll see him hit really hard, really flat. But really for me, it comes down to, I mean, that's all good and everything. And he might need to use that. There he pops off an ace. It says 62 miles per hour. I don't know if that's true. It had to be more than that. But you know, the wide serve there, like even that's not wide, but it's good enough. The wide, the body, and the tee is really is going to work for this guy at a moderate pace. Here's where he might throw in the underspin or the drop shot, because this is like, to do what he's trying to do here, again, it's all fine and good if you can do it. It's difficult. It's fancy. He could just hit a little drop shot here, right there in the corner. Because even if he makes that, all he's doing is he's pulling the guy off the court, and a lot of guys are not going to be that bothered by that at that pace. It's just, maybe, I guess what I'm saying is maybe look into some other options here when the ball is just completely dead, just sitting there in the middle of the court, and you can't really be aggressive with it. So this is also linked down in the description, my lob video. But this is a good example where I'm talking about trying to play, I guess now getting into the second set, the try to play longer rallies and keep the ball to just a few targets in the back of the court, just to get good at being in that situation. And then here he gets the lob. And I talk about in that video how you just have this back target. You're really just going to ignore this guy here and focus on hitting that target in the back, over the head, into that target. The guy at the net doesn't exist. So that's something that you can practice and get better at as well. Looks like he won. Yeah, he won that. So let's focus more for this second set on who's serving. So forwards hat is serving. It looks like he's going to lose the service game here. Definitely could see that here, where backwards hat maybe gets a little bit more conservative and just playing the ball into these targets. That's definitely something that he could do on his return. I mean, he could do it the whole match if he wanted to, as an experiment. As I said, just trying to keep to these big targets in the back and see what happens. Depending on who he's playing. But he could definitely do it on the return, only on the return, and then be more aggressive with his service game. He does win this set. You can see there, way behind the baseline with a backhand. I actually don't really have a problem with that. The opening is there. But again, really focusing on practicing hitting that target. I mean, maybe he is, but that's all it is, target practice right there. He hits the corner there. Decent pace. It's going to be a winner. I think a lot of times too, when it comes down to, is he could have, like here, I'm not sure what he's thinking here. It's 15 all. Is he thinking to end this point early, or to do it to do a 1-2? Because he gets the middle ball and then he hits it right back in the middle. So I'm not sure if that's his plan going into it. I'm just going to keep all the balls in the court and see what happens. But I would say having some idea of that beforehand, because in the beginning of the match, he was taking this middle ball to the corner, which he could have played that to any one of these four corners, or even hit a drop shot, and then he just goes to the middle. So there's not a lot of clarity there as to what he's doing, other than if he is just playing to keep the ball in the court. But again, if that's the case on this last ball, really trying to spin it here rather than go deep right at him. So there just doesn't seem a lot of clarity on what he's trying to do there during these points. Same thing there. He could have went with an inside shot there, and he's just keeping the ball in. But then again, maybe that's what his intention was for the most part, is to be more conservative in the second set after losing the first 6-1. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I might come back and do the second set in another video, because I said a lot there. So we'll start with that. And thanks for watching.